Hello there, my disciples of fluffy slippers. Today we're going to be speaking about Icosa. Friends, yes, I love the Hedron and Icosa expansion pack for HEX, and it's already part of my core portfolio. I've already made videos about it before, but I think now it's even more applicable to take more of a punt. And remember, I'm telling you now, everything is a lottery ticket, friends. Why am I wearing my Pikachu hat? Because it's like an extra Pokemon you just got to collect. Can it fail? Yes. Everything can go to zero. Of course, there are risks here. So what exactly are we looking at? Well, look, a lot of people just don't get it. They're going to like, oh, what is it? What is it? Just in a very simple way. You can stake your HEX, but with the Hedron platform that Alex made, now you can stake it through this platform. And everybody does. A lot of people have done it, okay? It's very safe. What it does is it mints you an NFT. And then you can sell it and buy it. So it's like a bond. It makes a bond for HEX, a financialized bond. Because if you do a HEX stake, you have to emergency end it. It's gone. It's not liquid anymore. So if you do like a 5-year stake, you go, oh, golly gee, I can't do anything with this anymore unless I take a big penalty. But with Hedron, if you stake through the system, then it makes you an NFT. And then there's a marketplace. Everyone's like, wow, you have a 3-year stake of like 1 million HEX. And people can access liquidity like that. Now, this is very, very early days for it. And you want to be in on early days. You don't want to wait until things are too big and thick and everyone knows what's going on. So one of the websites we were using when the HEX website wasn't working, friends, is actually Alex's website. You can see right here, app.icosa.pro. And what you can do is you can actually go around and you just see the different features here and what you can do. There's a HEX section, Hedron, whatever. Now I'm just using my little baby wallet. Now, when you look at these, friends, look, you can create your own HEX stake. So the communities already live with this. It's been out for like over a year or so, and it was cool. It was a great invention that came out. But now this is where it gets interesting. I just want to remind you, I'm gonna play some angel music just so you know this, friends. You don't need to know any of these. Okay, you don't need to know how does a stake work and how do all these. You don't actually need to know. It's important to know. Do your own research, of course. You don't really need to know because I've got my research here planted here for you. So you can go to the PulseChain DEX screener and you can go and find. I'll show you what to do, friends. You go to Icosa. So you actually type in ICSA. You can have a look at yourself. You see here, this is ICSA, but look at this. It's with the Pulse pair. You don't want to look at this. You can look at it, and I do like looking at it, but what you really want to look at is Icosa and HEX. So this ratio, this is important, okay? So I have Icosa HEX. Remember, you click on the top right here, and what I've done is I've set up this nice chart. Now, there's an actual ceiling price here. Why? Why is there an actual ceiling price? Very interesting. It's because if Icosa gets that expensive, higher than this price, you can make more money, and it gets a bit confusing. What you can do is you can basically do a stake and the protocol like burns it and then you get more coins for it. So there's basically just a range. You don't need to know any of that. Don't worry about all these words. All you got to go is, oh, wow, there's a floor and there's maybe a ceiling. Okay, so here's the thing, all right? Now, this is the chart. That's the chart that I've produced. So why are we doing this? It's because, friends, look, you know how Solana went up? Well, BONK was leverage on Solana recovery without a liquidation price. Let me show you. So this is the Solana price, okay? But you didn't know Solana was going up. So it's down here, okay? So Solana's dead and everyone thinks it's dead, all right? So, but here's the thing, right? So Solana ends up going, look at this, like a 4-5x. Solana goes 4-5x. But when you're down there, you say, hey, man, a 4-5x, I want a bit more leverage exposure on it. Now, if you want leverage exposure, you can actually go put a leverage long. The problem is, look how many weeks you sit here. You just don't know how long it's going to take, man. You know, your leverage funding rate, every day you're eating fees and you hope you don't get pinged out and you get liquidated, right? What you can do is you say, wait a minute. Is there another part of the secret? So you have to, this is where, friends, this is where the real money's made. Where you think, okay, well, if Solana recovers, what is the world going to look like in there? So this is where you got to think future. Go, okay, I believe in Solana recovery. All right. Is there another coin that's going to go up more? And yes, there was. That was what happened to BONK. So I have the BONK chart here, right? Look how big much it went up. So see this, friends, you can actually see this. So BONK went up enormous. I mean, can't even show it really. But look at this, went up like 300x. Bang. So you can see that. Now, the thing is, you might go, okay, well, this is easy. I should just go buy everything. No, it's leverage, which means like you need to be right about the coin or the ecosystem eventually recovering. And then you have to be right about the thing that goes up a lot. It's a double whammy, and then you get really rewarded. That's why, I mean, BONK gave you 100 to 300x, while Solana only gave you like a 5x. But here's the thing, you didn't know BONK was going to do that. So that's why you have a lottery ticket allocation. So for example, at the bottom, let's say you had 20 grand in Solana. At that bottom, you might say, well, I'm going to take 4 grand of that, and I'm going to invest it in Solana ecosystem, because if Solana goes up, these things might go up more. And that's why you have, say, 4 grand. That's 4 hits of $400 each. You might have put it in the money market, Jupiter, you know, whatever these are, in these little dexes, whatever the coins they like in the ecosystem, and then maybe BONK, maybe because there were people who had insider knowledge about this BONK stuff that was going on. So this is where we're coming from, the perspective of what happens. Or this is not unique, by the way. This happens to everything. All right, this is where we're going to go and explore with Icosa and HEX. And that brings us back to this chart. So you can see this is an actual ratio of this, right? Now, my cheap box, so this is what this is, friends. This is literally why you love me, all right? Because when I make my videos, I'm literally telling you, here is my cheap box. I'm not buying above there. If you find this video later on and the price is above there, don't touch it. Okay? In fact, not financial advice, go buy bonds. Literally, I'm wearing a Pikachu hat, friends. I'm literally wearing a dusty black shirt and I've got a Pikachu hat. Shouldn't be taking advice from someone like me anyway, but this is what I will do. I have a cheap box. I go, I don't care if you promise to cure cancer, I ain't touching above it. All right, so this is my cheap box. You can see the price is about 8. The ratio is about 8. Right now, the time here is like 3.7, so you could just buy any here if you were to participate, and then the expensive region is up here. Now, is it ever going to get there? Who knows? This is where I'm here to explore. So my cheap box, though, if it did go up, right, even if you got from 5 to 30, you get like a 6x on your HEX. So this is worth a lottery ticket to me, maybe even a core part if you're into the HEX and PulseChain ecosystem. This is Mr. Silvertooth. Of course, he is starving for some Hedron and Icosa. So there are risks. Of course, there are risks. This is the whole game, man. But think about this, right? Firstly, crypto's risky. Then Bitcoin, okay, Bitcoin. Then Ethereum. Then you go deeper. We're in like PulseChain and HEX. Like we're like super, super, super risky. Now a derivative leverage product on HEX. Think about the risk of that. That's the game, right? If you can find these, you win. You basically win. You kill it because it's illiquid. No one believes. I don't really care, friends. So I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I really don't give a damn. I'm not here to convince people of anything. I don't care. Okay, it's a mind of the market. I know the game. Now there are risks, of course. You need HEX to recover because this is a derivative. Because remember, the product involves HEX staking. So don't worry about how it works, friends. Don't worry. I've explained it 50,000 times. We keep losing track. Don't worry. It's got, just remember, it's got to do with HEX. It's a HEX derivative. Okay, so we can draw a picture. I actually have a picture here to show you, right? So you have, if you have, for example, here, friends, you have HEX here. Okay, you have HEX. So this is a little Hedron. Okay, you can copy paste it. This is what it is. Yeah, you're part of the ecosystem. Okay, you also have Hedron as well, but Hedron is minted out, and you do need the Hedron to buy the HEX stakes. But look, maybe they end up going the same. Who really knows? But you get to see it like this. This is basically what it looks like. Okay, this is what you might have. So maybe someone who had, I don't know, $10,000 in pHEX, they might be like, you know what? I want to put $500 into this. That's 5%. That's something to just think about like this, because it's like remember that Solana and BONK example where you're like, oh, I want to go put it. Now, why don't you put all your stack in? Well, you might say, well, I want to go bet on other stuff that might also go up. Maybe you like, I don't know, the teddy bear, Atropa, PDI ecosystem. Maybe you like Rob. Maybe you like any of these other PulseChain ecosystem memes that you think, well, I think these would accelerate more if HEX went up. I'm just throwing out examples, friends. Don't buy any coins in particular, but I'm just giving you an idea about the ecosystem and fleshing things out. But of course, there are risks. So you need the HEX price to go up. If HEX price never goes up, this thing just fizzles, okay? It is fizzled. That's why it's literally as dead as you can get. All right, we're dead, super dead. And this went down hard. Okay, now you need the founder, Alex, to release something. Now, Alex has done great. He's released the products and they work beautifully and fantastically, but there's a missing piece. There's actually a missing piece in this. Now, we're speculating. Alex is a very respectable man, okay? I have interacted with him a few times, but Look, he's smart, man. He's got a grand wizard beard. He's really smart, friend. Not that grand wizard you're talking about, like an actual RPG wizard, friends. High level one, okay? Look, when you're looking at these, you're never going to get everything right, all right? Oh, you want a good product? Well, guess what? Everyone knows about it and it's expensive, okay? So what do you want, friends, in crypto? Do you want a good product or do you want a cheap price? Because you can't get both, okay? The good thing is actually, this is actually a good product with a cheap price, but there's risk, okay? The product means nothing. It's you need the HEX price to recover and people to start having their attention on it all over again, right? So this is a new cycle coin as well. So I've had Hedron, Icosa, etc. So what do they do? Already went through this, they let you stake and transform it into an NFT. It's already been used. The yield gets handed out. People can buy and sell and stuff, and you can auction it. You can buy cheaper stakes if people want to get access to liquidity. So that's all it lets you do. It lets you access liquidity before the stake is ended. And it is really just a derivative play. Icosa is more rare. So people always ask, you know, Hedron or Icosa. Look, you could just get both. You could get them in a ratio. I don't really care. I just like Icosa because you can't just like, it's not just given out everywhere. You have to stake Hedron to get it. It's more rare. And like I said, there's a missing piece. So the missing piece, you go, what's the missing piece? Well, remember I showed you this chart, right? You think, okay, what's going to get Icosa back towards the ceiling? Well, you know, luckily for you, you have a friend with a straight posture. I don't know where he is right now. Maybe you've seen him and you like subscribe, belly button and all. Maybe these will happen. Now, I have this speculation part. Now, please, it is literally, I put a freaking question mark, if it's literally, and I wrote speculation here for you. I don't know. I've heard whispers and rumors. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's freaking, it's hard, friends. It's hard. Look, there's whispers, rumors, okay, that Alex might require Icosa for his next applications and updates. For example, one rumor is that he will allow you to stake your HEX from the PulseChain side. So you don't have to bridge over. So it's like a unity thing. It's like, wait a minute. I can own both the HEX, the original, from PulseChain. And if I wanted to stake it, I could do it through an application. Now, I think I just read a paper. I'm not too well versed on these, friends, because then I've barely got time to do anything. But there's whispers and rumors of this. I think he's even written about this. He made a big post about it. I think it's called like the Unity Project. Okay, so that's just something to think about when it comes to fulfilling this part of like the trifecta when it comes to this, all right? So there's another rumor, though, that Icosa would be needed to fork Rocket Pool for PulseChain. So right now, a lot of people don't just hold Ethereum in their wallet. They hold staked Ethereum, STETH. And you can go to CoinGecko and actually see it, friends. Here is Lido staked ETH. So STETH, there's also Rocket ETH. And what you can do is, right, if you change this to an ETH pricing chart, and you can see max over time, this thing, okay, actually, I can show you the Rocket Ethereum, right? This is the Rocket Ethereum, all right? This is Rocket Ethereum, so RETH. You see how this is going up over time? Look how much it's worth. See this, look at it, zoom in, right? We zoom in, friends. See how it's 1.10, you see that here? Each ETH is 1.10 ETH. It started at 1. You can see it actually started at 1. So every day, if you hold this coin, which you can trade and it's very liquid, it earns you yield in the background. So it's like you're owning HEX and it's automatically staked without staking. That's why they call it liquid staking derivative, okay? Now, here's the thing. It is actually an enormous multi-billion-dollar use case on Ethereum. You can actually go and look at DeFi Llama and you can see how big it is, friends. If you go to DeFi Llama, look at the biggest liquid staking. Look at the biggest category. Literally number one. Do you know this? In all of crypto, the biggest money ever committed is Lido DAO. It is everybody. It's $21.9 billion here. You see that? That's enormous. All right. Look, even Rocket Pool, by the way, is number 6. It's 2.8 billion. So people clearly, they love Ethereum. It's a store of value. And then they want to own this product, which is staked Ethereum. It earns you yield every day. Now, here's the thing, right? I mean, you can think about it, friends. If you're earning 5% per year, you have $1 million worth of ETH. That's big. Basically, every month, you get to just go to the contract and withdraw like a couple of grand out for yourself. Yeah, like an income. Okay, you basically never have to work. You just have $1 million there. Now, this is obviously the dream when it comes to other projects. So that's why, look, I know that's the only thing that no one's done on PulseChain yet. I don't know if there are people working on it in the background. I don't know if people are going to beat this. Maybe someone sees this, but it's something that will be great. Because, now here's the thing, obviously, if you do it, you won't be able to do the liquidity farming on PulseX. But you just get to keep your stake pulse. You know, the stake pulse, I'm not sure what the exact yield is, but if you go to GoPulse, actually, friends, I found here, if you go to gopulse.com, look at this, the current APR is 14% per year. That's huge. You know what that means? Basically means if you had $1 million worth of Pulse and this project existed, you'd be earning 140 grand worth of Pulse in the year. That's enormous, right? Imagine that 10x's. And then every month you're earning like 10 grand of Pulse. That's $1 million, right? So that's why I guess the speculation is, imagine you had today $10,000 of Pulse, 10,000, and it went 100x. Now you have $1 million. And probably by that point in the future, you know, this yield, it probably wouldn't be 14%. Let's say it goes down to like 5%. But that's still pretty good. So you have $1 million worth of Pulse. You don't have to sell it, friends. You never have to sell it. You don't own a validator. You don't have all the network. Because right now, to do these, you need to like run a network. You got to basically set up everything from Mr. David Feeder. You got to go through the system to do that. Become a validator. Make sure your internet works. But if you could just hold staked Pulse, then, and you Pulse 100x, you're like, wow, you're earning literally like 50 grand a year. That's a yield dropping down to 5%, by the way, not for 14%. So you literally have passive income. That's literally your passive income, and you don't have to give up on the system, which is like, that's what everybody in Ethereum does, okay? That's literally the dream. That's why, friends, smart contracts are the future. How amazing is that future? There's a network, there's applications around there. You can't do this in Bitcoin. People in Bitcoin are just praying for number go up. You can't earn yield on that. You have to be an actual Bitcoin miner, all right? So what's the speculation? The speculation is that if Alex is participating in some sort of project like this, which I don't know, and they could do it, then you would need Icosa to be able to grab it. So how that works is you need the other people's coin to get the yield. So for example, what would happen is if you're a computer validator, let's say the yield's 14%. Well, you would hand out to customers maybe 10%. So if me and you held staked PulseChain, we would get only 10% yield. But that extra 4% and that boosted yield goes to people actually like providing the service for us. But the token you would need to be able to do that for them is Icosa. That's like, this is speculation, friends. This is just, we don't know. Okay, Bremer said, when risk on risk on risk on risk, you know what I mean? It's just super duper risk. But the good thing is there's no liquidation point. There's no leverage. There's no time cost. I mean, there's time cost, but there's no like forced period out, all right? So right now there isn't any HEX staking on through Hedron, right? Obviously, because HEX price is down. Everybody's like, it's shambles, etc. But this is where Jim Cramer says it's going to zero, and you got to like think about, okay, what am I betting on? Okay, I'm betting on a world where PulseChain and HEX recover, which probably means people want HEX yield again, which might mean the PulseX buy and burn is also dragging everything up, which also might mean the derivatives go faster because they're thinner and people want to do staking, and then becomes more of a market like that. That's the world you have to try and envision. So, you know, we look back in the future, in 1 or 2 years from now, maybe you go back to this video and go, wow, he could see it. You see, friends, that's why it's so hard, because there's all these ecosystems and every single person believes in their own coin that's going to take over. Every single person. Okay, but that's why these things are good, because if you can find the correct derivative plays to get leverage exposure, you don't actually need to be in every core coin. You just have the derivative exposure. Imagine you don't believe in Solana, but you had BONK. Isn't that amazing? Because BONK went 100x. There's people who had 10 grand in Solana. Their 10 grand became 50K. It went a 5x. Right? But imagine you had 1 grand in BONK. Your 1 grand turned to 100K. You beat the Solana believer. So that Solana guy had 10 times more exposure. He had 10 grand. You only had 1 grand in BONK. But because you correctly predicted the leverage exposure, you literally made double. You make double more than a believer. We might be looking at that with Icosa. Maybe. We don't know, friends. Of course, it's just risk. Okay. So also another thing, even Richard Hart himself gave a nod of approval to Hedron and Icosa at the start because it's a great expansion pack to the ecosystem. So I know everybody knows this, but I just got to repeat to you. So the origin address, which is a religious priest squirrel that holds his own nuts up in the mountains, a hermit squirrel, he bonded HEX to Icosa, so people wouldn't have to sell one to the other. So I think it was HEX and Hedron, sorry. Anyway, he gave the nod of approval, and he basically called him smart. So Just leave something. Okay, I'm just telling you now, friends. Richard Hart's only called one person a genius, Vitalik, and then he said Alex is smart. I've never heard Richard actually compliment anybody else on being smart, ever. All right, so it's just something, okay? Now, here's the thing. Does that mean he's going to continue to support it? I don't know, okay? The code's done. It doesn't enrich the founder. It ticks everything. So who knows? Who knows, all right? I mentioned here, if you want to leverage on HEX, this is a cool way to get it without liquidation risk. So this is just, once again, not financial advice. I'm just showing you how you would do it. So you could rotate like 5% of your HEX into Icosa. So if you had like 1 million HEX, you could put like 50,000, which is 5%, you put it into Icosa. Because you go, well, if this works out, that 50,000 HEX that you put into Icosa, if it does like a 5x, you get back 250,000 HEX. You get more than your staking. You basically get 3 years worth of staking, and it might even happen earlier. You never know. In terms of like maybe Icosa gets a narrative earlier. You don't know. So that's just one way to think about it. Then you might go, okay, I've got another 5% somewhere. I'm going to put it somewhere else, and you stake it. You can do what you want. But I'm just showing you how it was done. Think about that person with Solana who allocated a bit into BONK. Right? Maybe someone had 20 grand of Solana. They're like, you know what? I'm going to put 500 bucks into BONK. That 500 bucks did 100x. Okay, so they made a lot from that. So it's another mindset. Now, this happens to every ecosystem, by the way, but the million-dollar question is not finding these leverage coins, friends. It's which coin is actually going to be the one doing it, which ecosystem is going next. Okay, but remember, I'm going to remind you, I don't have any extra information at all. It's just whispers and rumors, what I've told. It is what it is, right? I'm just telling you, this is part of the portfolio. Let's see what happens. Set and forget. Okay. Now, of course, there is an eICSA and a pICSA. You can buy either or. I just buy a pICSA, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Okay. What I like is they're both cheap. I guess maybe just get the pICSA. I dare not to say that. I don't want to risk it. Maybe just do half and half. I don't know. It's just that you'd kind of think the PulseChain ecosystem will move up. Maybe. Just remember, I never want to just say never buy this, never buy this. I never. Friends, I'm too scared. Too much FOMO in crypto, right? People can buy anything. All right. So if HEX staking eventually does pick up in the future and HEX resurrects, that's all you're doing. You're speculating that this goes higher. So what I've done as well, friends, this is the Icosa Pulse chart up here, and you can actually see I've got actually a little super trend on it as well. You can see the market cap's really low. Remember, this is the Icosa Pulse ratio. So if you remember back when I did my HEX Pulse chart, which is right here. Okay, so this is Pulse versus HEX. From today, if you got to the target, it's a 77% gain on HEX. So that's not that much anymore. But look, when I got in, I mean, even look at this. When I got in, and this is a fluke, friends, very, very fluke. Don't think I'm some sort of genius or whatever. Nothing. I'm not. I'm just a peanut brain. This is still 180%. But from here, because it's high, you're getting like 80%. So 80% gain on HEX, not that much leverage. It's better than nothing, okay? But obviously, there's not that much risk. You're in Pulse. You're literally the layer one that everyone can relate to, etc. But if you're looking at Icosa Pulse, right? Icosa versus Pulse here, from today, if it gets back to where PulseChain launched, all right, up to top here, that's 235. That's the 3.3x. That's where PulseChain just launched back in June. So you can see it's triple the gain on Pulse. I've got to remind you again, please, friends, a lot of people get confused. Last thing, Icosa Pulse is not a product, okay? You only look at the front tickers, okay? So when I show you, see how it's Icosa Pulse here, and then there's Icosa HEX. They're the same product. It's still Icosa. The second thing, you're just comparing it to that. For example, Bitcoin USD is the same as Bitcoin versus Ethereum, is the same as Bitcoin versus XRP. They're all the same thing. It's still Bitcoin. It's just that how you chart it, you're comparing to something different. That's all. But it's still you're owning Bitcoin. Okay, so if you own Icosa, you don't have to go, oh, which one do I own? No. You own Icosa. That's it. And then you can chart Icosa to anything you want. You can put Icosa versus BTC, Icosa versus ETH. It's just that I like looking at Icosa versus Pulse and Icosa versus HEX because they're just related to it. That's all. Okay. So there you go, friends. I made this. I'm going to make more videos about these over time. Honestly, you're going to have to decide on the risk, friends, because look, you're going to have to decide on, is this too risky for you? Is it not? Do you like it? How much would you allocate? Lunch money? Like, I'm just telling you right now, everything's lunch money. You can decide on that, because I'm not going to be held my feet to the fire if something goes wrong, because people capitulate the wrong times. They go too much. It's literally lunch money, all right? I like this. I like buying low. Everyone's given up on the ecosystem. And it is what it is, okay? I already owned it from before. I would accumulate more. Just saying, okay? And from this, if I don't mention it again, doesn't mean I don't like it. It's just you wait and see, okay? Now, there's going to be other coins that I go through here and there, because I wanted people to just find, hey, find me something where it's just not freaking green candles, man. Don't show me something that went up like 4 green months. You know, I don't want that. It's too late. But I know you guys, not you guys, because my baby dolls, 99.9 years, I love risk, okay? The bottom 1%, copers, okay? They're literally like, show me the expensive coin so I can buy it more expensive. They want, you don't learn. You literally don't learn. You buy from pessimists. You sell to optimists. Do you get it? You buy when everyone says it's dead. You don't buy when everyone's saying, my gosh, Mike Govgratz is selling his Solana. It must be really bullish right now. Those people don't make it. They keep disappearing, okay? Make sure you like, subscribe, belly button, all friends. Until next time, catch you soon.